understand.
Tell him that we bonding.
I am proud to be a Belizean.
Tell him that we bonding.
Yo bande, yo bande.
Tell him that we bonding.
Yo bande, yo bande. I am a true born Belizean.
Tell him that we bonding.
Belize my home, my native land.
Tell him that we bonding.
I want you people to understand.
Tell him that we bonding.
I am proud to be a Belizean.
Tell him that we bonding.
Yo bande, yo bande.
Tell him that we bonding.
Yo bande, yo bande.
And greetings. Welcome again to another episode of Naval String Connections, the Belizean Diaspora show in the Belizean Diaspora, coming to you live on XTV. This is an XTV production. I'm Bilal Morris with my host and co-host and all hostess. I keep on saying host, and it's hostess, ARIA.
Oh, so that we don't
You never-
sexualize it.
You never corrected me. You never corrected me. It's like, what? No, she was running for 4 years and she never corrected me, Opal. Never. Hostess, Mrs. ARIA LIGHTFOOT on the scene, live out of Chicago. Not Orlando, Florida anymore, you know. The gal
Tampa.
is shy, tongue gal no. Okay. And we have today a very important show. We have in our studios joining us live from Los Angeles herself, Opal Enriquez. And you'll hear all about this amazing lady, this Belizean lady in the diaspora when ARIA introduces her. But we want to tell you to invite one to tell one across these states where Belizeans live to join us and sort of get the vibes, the pulse of what is happening in the Belizean diaspora. We want to also invite you, the Belizean audience in Belize, right, to tell one, to listen to the XTV show. We want to say again, this is an XTV production. The man behind the control that makes all this possible is Harlan. And we want to also acknowledge our producer, Nur Muhammad, and you, the viewers, the listening audience. And so without any further ado, we'll turn you on to ARIA, who will introduce our guest for today.
Hi, good night, everyone. Welcome to Naval String Connections. My name is ARIA LIGHTFOOT. I'm here from Chicago, Florida. No, I haven't seen ice. And before I was in Tampa, not Orlando, Bilal. Very
Ah,
close to this, very close to this, on
see?
our way.
My bad.
Tonight, our guest is Opal Enriquez. A lot of people already know Opal because she's been very involved in different projects and stuff in Belize. Um, Opal is doing some exciting things right now in Belize with the young people. She has a literacy drive going on. And I'll let Opal, of course, introduce herself and tell us a little bit more. But Opal is showing in Naval String Connections, right? I'm going to dig into your navel string just now. You need to tell us about your navel string to Belize.
Oh my goodness, that depends. How much time do you have and how deep do you want to go? Because, you know, them
We
roots.
start at birth till, are you Belizean American or American Belizean?
I am Belizean American, born and raised in Belize. Went to St. Ignatius Primary when I was about 12. So, we moved here to California, and my family did the migration the way a lot of families do to the United States. My sister came first, and then my mom, and then all the rest of us kind of followed and just, created that life here in California. And the rest is history. We've been here ever since. But even though I have lived in the United States for basically my high school
Opal,
years
will
to
not make
my
you get to it, that the brief summary of growing up in Belize.
oh my goodness.
You need to tell us, okay, Uganda Nations, right?
Mhm.
My parents, my mom went to Nations and my brother started Nations. So I wasn't old enough before they Belmopan. But question is, tell us a little
Mhm.
bit about what you remember growing up as a young person in Belize. Like, what was it like? What part of Belize you grew up? What part of the city?
My goodness, we started back up in Road, just like, a lot of our Belizeans from Southside. And my childhood was amazing. I mean, I just remember great friends. I remember great food. I remember being a part of a very supportive family. My uncle, fun fact, right, is Silas Caetano, who is one of the forefathers of the United Democratic Party. And I remember going in his Land Rover with him to all of his political rounds because he was a senator in the party. And I think that's where I was first introduced to my passion for service
Okay.
because I just watched him break ground and really engage with people on such a level of concern and impact that I said I wanted to be just like my uncle when I grew up. So I think that's what I remember most is I remember his vision and his leadership, and of course, walking in my robot boots in the rain, going home from school, and I remember how passionate my teachers were. And I think that's what ignited my desire to give back and my passion for literacy. I had a teacher. Oh, wait, I'm missing something very important. My principal was Joseph Bradley's mother,
Oh,
Mrs.
nice.
Bradley.
Okay.
And she always held me to such a high standard. I still freed fidelity somehow. But, but she held me to such a high standard. And I remember when I was in standard four, she came to me and she said, "Do you know you've been first in your class for all these years and now you're fourth? That's unacceptable." And I will never forget that. So I have held myself to that standard since then.
Nice.
But she, between her and my uncle, they, lit this fire in me just for a passion for literacy and the importance of education and making sure that children had what they needed. Because even though, I did come from Southside Belize, I needed for nothing. I had
Right.
all the guidance, I had all the tools, I had all the resources, and, such a supportive and caring family. I think that's what I remember most, aside from everything else that is amazing about my country. So even now, I say that I don't live in the United States. I live back home because all of us have our own places in
Right.
Belize. And I have nine siblings. So I've got a brother who has a place in Cayo, a sister with a place in Corozal. I have a place in the city. So we just work here. We just go to school here. We live in Belize still.
What was it like when you first moved to the United States? Because I'm pretty sure leaving your friends behind might have been a little bit tough, and going into a new culture, school system. How was that experience for you when you moved to the US?
Wow. It was culture shock, to say the least. I think what struck me the most was the way children talk to adults. I heard my nephew called his little friend's dad by his first name. And that was just culture shock for me. I said, my mom would have boxed out my teeth
Right.
if I did that. So there was just that respect that we grew up with, those values, those core values and core beliefs that we grew up with, that were just different. And I think I grew up very sheltered. We have a very close-knit family. And I noticed that the children had so many liberties here. And we couldn't play in the street.
Yeah.
Even though, we lived in a good neighborhood, we still were not allowed to just run outside and stay outside and play in the street till it was dark,
Right.
like we did back home. So a lot of cultural differences, even though my family did their very best to maintain, our cultures and our beliefs from back home within the household. When you stepped outside, you're just Black.
Right.
You're another African American, and whatever benefits and stigmas that came with that suddenly became a part of your life. So it took a lot of adjustment. And to be honest with you, Aria, I'm still adjusting.
Yeah. I'm glad that you raised that because um a lot of people don't really speak about how people are perceived. While in Belize, we kind of engage people based on who their family is or whatever. In America, a lot of engagement or stereotypes happen based on race. It starts there before somebody even says anything further. So that's a very good point. So tell us, okay, you moved to the US. Tell us a little bit about who you are, like what you did in the US and how you became involved in Belize.
It started with a dare. It started with a dare. I was here and I've always been, an artist at heart. So I studied dance. I danced professionally for many years. Another fun fact, I was a backup dancer for Ashanti and Missy Elliott and Wyclef Jean.
Oh, really?
So,
So I probably saw you on stage because I've been to
Awesome.
Ashanti's concert.
yeah, you probably did.
Yeah.
So I went to Hamilton High School Academy of Music. So I was very much in the performing arts where I learned dance and choreography and I studied theater. So I toured, I danced at Lula Washington Dance Theater, which is one of the most famous dance schools here in Southern California, and really honed that craft. So back to the dare story, my girlfriends and I went to a pageant. It was like one of those little LA-based pageants. And we were there, we were giggling and hanging out. And the next year it was time for them to have the pageant again. And they, behind my back, sent the recruiter to my house. So I came home from school and this man was in the living room talking to my mom. And my girlfriends were in my bedroom, just, the
Giggled.
key. And I'm like, what's going on? And they're like, we put you in a pageant. And I was like, oh, okay, well, you want to stay right now and win. So I won that pageant. That was actually, I think it's Queen of Sports. I won that. And then after that, I won Miss Belize, California. And then I won Miss Caribbean, California. And I was first runner up for Miss Costa Maya and I won Miss Pan American, which I'm the only Belizean to have won that pageant in its 40-year
Oh,
history.
oh wow. Okay.
So that kind of, started my trips back to Belize because I would go participate in the tent parade and things like that. And while I was doing that, I really started paying attention to the things that were going on. And I think my philanthropic work starts with the fact that I get really mad about stuff, and I'm not the type of person to get mad and stay quiet.
Right.
So I'm very solution oriented. And so I started seeing disparities in certain areas. And before I, go on Facebook or go on social, I chose to use my platform. And, of course, I went back to Belize. I choreographed Costa Maya. I actually brought Miss Universe Belize back to Belize after 10 years. Um, and, with doing that and being in so many different environments, I started noticing that, there are children who did not have the same advantages as other children.
Right.
And during the pandemic, I started sending barrels of food back to Belize just to help out, just to do something. And it also started my skincare line at Opal's Glow. I've been making my own skincare products for years, but I wanted to do something to stimulate the Belize economy. So I flew down, I used my badge as a healthcare professional. I've also 25 years as a neonatal and pediatric respiratory therapist. I did go to school and studied that. So I used my badge to get on a plane because they were only allowing, frontline workers to fly. And I came down to Belize and I went up the highway to Placencia and I bought all the coconut oil from all the kids who were on the road selling.
Oh, nice. Okay.
Just, because I knew that $20 that I gave them would feed their family through that
Right.
pandemic.
Right. Without it.
And then I went and I bought I think 40 or 50 pounds of cacao from San Felipe and I started making chocolate body butter.
And let me tell
And,
you, I did get one of your products in LA the year before last, and it was excellent. But I tried to order again, but I couldn't find the website, by the way.
Opalsglow.com.
Yeah, some reason I couldn't, maybe I didn't remember it, but I tried to
Yeah.
order it again because I thought it was a good product.
Yeah, I
Oh,
even have
thank
your I even
you.
have yours here, Oprah. What you gave me at the
Okay.
beginning, that's right here. Right here on my this is my studio. I said this is Oprah, this is Opal right here.
And you know, it was
Thank you for
Joseph
that.
Granny who recommended it
Yeah,
because,
very good. Very good.
yeah, because
Yeah, I've
my
been
son suffers with eczema and stuff like that. So I really appreciated your product. It was a good product. You know,
Thank you.
yeah,
Thank you so much. It's a passion project. Like I said, I wanted to find a concrete way to give back to Belize and create that exchange where the people who make it or people who make the cacao have one of their own to sell to.
right,
And my goal for that is to get that in stores here, not just to make it available in Belize and it's, there to be ordered. And
right.
sometimes I participate in some of the events that go on, like the trade shows that happen in Belize. But, I want to be that person that travels with BTB to different shows and with Bell Trade, to share what it is that we make, but also have the product available here in the United States because it's 100% natural and it's us,
Yeah. Have you
back home in
connected
Belize,
with
we
the,
don't need all of these chemicals.
yeah,
We have everything rooted and grown on the soil. So I want to share that, that part of our culture with the rest of the world.
have you connected with the local chamber, the Belize Chamber of Commerce and Industry in Belize?
No, you know what? I haven't.
You
I think I
should.
need to spend more time talking to you guys because
Yeah.
I'm not in touch with those interest groups as
And
yet.
they've existed for over 100 years in Belize, and they do a lot of promotions with the MSME, and a lot of businesses even that go into Belize connect with them. So we've always partnered with them to do different stuff. So I think they're a good connect. Miss Kim Aikman is uh, CEO, president. I don't remember what the title is, but she or this girl, Yoshabel Tus, I think. She is a contact. You really should reach out to them. Just giving that little. I think Belize has a lot of very intelligent people, right? And I always mention that whenever you step outside Belize and given an opportunity to see Belizeans just shine. So tell us
Mhm.
a little bit about what you're doing right now. What's your project right now?
My project right now is the Belize Literacy Enhancement Project. It's something that we started, I think we launched in January of 2023 with our first reading room, which is at Wesley Upper School in Mesopotamia. And that's a part of a women's group that I participated in. I'm the first Belizean to participate in the Dorothy Irene Height Global Leadership Academy, which is a part of the International Black Women's Public Policy Institute. I know that's a lot of words, but policy making group that we have boots on the ground. So we have reading rooms in Ghana, we have one in the Bahamas, but we go throughout the globe doing programs and setting up initiatives that enhance the lives of women and children all over the world and mostly in lesser affluent communities of Black and Brown people. So I was connected with through my mentor and joined the academy. And once I saw the Reading Room Initiative, I said, you know what, we need this in Belize. Because that very year, the students from another school in Belize, in one of the more affluent schools, won the World Robotics Competition.
Yes, yes.
And less than 3 miles away, these kids don't have Wi-Fi, they don't have computers. Their teachers need laptops to do their work. And the disparities should not be that dramatic. They
For
shouldn't
being so
be
close to each other.
for
That's a
being
very
for the proximity, right? It should not be that type of disparity. So again, I got upset and I said, let me do something about it.
How
And
big is this
so
organization? I know you said it's worldwide. You know what the impact and membership is?
I'm sorry, repeat the question.
the organization that you said is Black and Brown. You go into different countries of the world. How big is the organization and how many countries are impacted?
Oh, wow. We have about, I think to date, we probably have about 400 members.
Okay.
And we have programs in Ghana, in South Africa, in Haiti, in the Bahamas, and of course now in Belize. And I think they're taking on a few more countries this year in Barbados as well, and Bermuda.
Okay.
So throughout, Africa and the Caribbean, and, I myself, I've made contact with people in Honduras and in Guatemala. So we're really trying to expand the programs that we have. So those are the impacted countries as of now.
Okay.
And now the director or the president is doing the first Black Women's Embassy,
Ah,
and that's going to be in DC. So that's their big project that they're working on.
okay. When is that? When is the anticipated opening of that embassy?
We don't know yet.
Okay. So
There's no
it's in
launch
the
date
pipeline.
as well. Pardon?
It's in the pipeline.
It's in the pipeline, and they're already, gathering the players
Yeah.
and raising the money to be able to build that center. So I was, I came in as one of the founding members, the first 100 women to
Wow.
donate to that project. So that's really
That,
exciting.
I,
it
I want
is.
to inject more into that little literacy program you did there. It was what, at Little Belize? Um,
Yes, it had
yeah,
to be a little
that was
Belize.
very amazing. I mean, that was like breaking ground because I haven't seen anything like that before, where you had two different schools, one in the United States and one in Belize, coming across
We
shores
actually
sharing
had two in
technology.
Belize.
There was how
We
many again?
had two
Two?
in Belize
Yeah.
and one in the United States.
And I
Our
watched
first
it
project was
live
at
while it was
Wesley.
going on. I never did attend, but I watched it while it was being broadcasted, and it was very, very interesting. And I think we need to see more like that come aboard. So, what's the future for that? Are you going to expand that, as you said, to like different schools?
Yeah.
And
Yeah, we're opening our second center now at Eden SDA Primary School in Santa Elena. And what makes Eden special? First of all, I do have to say, I did not approach Eden, they approached me. They saw the news clip for the work that we did at Wesley, and I got an email from Eden saying, we really are interested in your project. What do we have to do in order to gain your interest? So I went to Eden, and the children, as you can see in the video, they gave us, myself and Mayor Earl Trapp, who is going to be one of our partners, they gave us this beautiful welcome. The children sang for us, and my heart just melted. But what makes Eden also special is that Eden is one of the very few schools right now that's making a conscious effort to integrate children on the spectrum into their regular curriculum.
Right. And I think
And
that's
as a
their
mother of an
issue, right?
autistic child, I have a 17-year-old nonverbal autistic son.
Okay.
I know the benefits that he has from being in the United States. He goes to a private school, he gets all of his therapies. There's the Special Olympics. There are all these programs that are available to him here. And autism in Belize is still very, very new. So we want, as a part of our literacy project, in addition to the STEM program, in addition to giving them, computers, I just sent three more boxes of supplies. They arrived this week with materials and manipulatives for the teachers, computers for the students, and also books for the children to read. But we're also moving into having a sensory area
Oh,
for
nice.
the children of the on the spectrum
Yeah,
that are going to be attending that school so they have a chance to regulate. So we're really excited about
that's
that project,
amazing.
and we're looking to break ground in January.
Oh,
yeah, I'm
wow.
big on that project because I got a grandson, my first grandson, who's autistic, nonverbal.
Really?
And it's very interesting for me because he teaches me a whole lot of stuff that I think I did. I think I know it all, but he's like, he's very interesting in terms of his brother. He's younger than him, and so I'm with them. They spend all their weekends with me, and so this is interesting as I saw you promoting, that educational literacy program for children with special needs.
Mm-hmm.
I reflected on my own grandson and my kind of communication with him because having to have a nonverbal uh, uh, person in your family, it is very interesting. And I remember in Belize, I've seen a lot of people like that. But in Belize,
Mm-hmm.
we never knew what autism was, and we were used to hear all these horror stories from people who their children grew up to be grown men and women. And people used to bring a whole lot of spooky stuff to them about, oh, somebody did this to your child and that to your child. Your child. I remember one lady told me she went to the doctor and like I said, no, it's nothing like that. Your child has autism, Yeah. And so we are still very in the dark in Belize. And my mind run on that little boy who walk out of Stella Morris and just walk right into that. And when I realized that you have a son, you are a mother yourself of that, I realized that that is a great degree of empowerment that you're bringing, not only here in the United States, but you're crossing borders into your home country and trying to make a difference there. That was very powerful. Yeah.
Yeah,
It's
thank you for that. It hits home. I mean, obviously, because my son is autistic, but when I heard that story of Gabriel, my child elopes all the time. Matter of fact, he had his first police car ride when he was 7 years old
oh wow.
because I was taking too long getting dressed and he wanted to go to Chipotle. So he left the house. And of course, again, I live in America. So when you call and you say that you have a child who has autism, they dispatched 7 squad cars and a helicopter to find him within 10
Wow.
minutes. And they found that little boy at Chipotle, put him in a squad car, and drove him home.
But he knew where he was going,
They did because they're smarter than we are.
Yeah, yeah.
They're smarter than we are. And, I always tell people if you can overcome your ignorance and humble yourself and accept the fact that this child might not communicate the way you do, but it's because his brain fires quicker than yours. See, that's the transition or the pivot that I think the average mind doesn't make. I'm very careful with what I teach my son because he will watch me do something one time and execute the entire process to perfection. That's just his savant. And every child on the spectrum, there's something inside of them that once you unlock it, you've got brilliance.
Yeah.
And what we also don't know, two things. One is that there are a lot of adults walking around with issues that were completely undiagnosed.
Indeed.
And also that I give Belize a lot of credit because Belize, to a certain degree, is run like Smurf Village. We do
That's
not,
actually a good you
right? You have Johnny the cook,
know.
you have Ronnie the mechanic, you have Jason the fisherman, but we focus on what it is that you're good at. We
Uh,
regard you because of your strengths.
that's true. It's a small village. It is.
You
Mm-hmm.
know,
Compared
as,
to the
as an
world, it's a
educator,
village.
I taught a lot. I teach a lot of special ed kids. I mean, I teach from magnet to honors, and children that are severe mild, right? They speak.
Mm-hmm.
They
Mm-hmm.
look normal, but I could tell in the classroom, two of them are in there out of 25, and you ask your principal, why you do this? That child needs to be in. No, says no. They speak, they can think. We want them to. And I learn how the pedagogy of how to educate a child like that. And sometimes I've worked in areas where all of them are on the spectrum, but they look
Mm-hmm.
quite normal. They speak and everything, but it's a whole different way of teaching them.
Mm-hmm.
And you're so right. There's a lot of people walking around in Belize, a lot of children that is not tested, that
Mm-hmm.
they look normal, but they're on the spectrum. But our educational system goes on and just practices and just, oh, that's okay. And being an educator myself, have to work with special children in the special education programs. It's a whole different thing, and you have to test them. You'll never know. And so for me, that was interesting to see that program that you're doing, that you're bringing not only to um, children who can read, but children who are on the spectrum, though they speak and everything, but they may be an eighth grader and
Mm-hmm.
reading at the third grade level, right? That's
But
when you realize that they're on the spectrum. And so that reading, that literacy thing is so very, 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 very important. It's very,
Harlan,
very
Yeah,
is
it
it
is. It
possible
absolutely is.
to show the video right now?
Yes.
Yeah, because it would be good to show the video. It's 2
yes,
minutes, I
indeed.
believe.
Mm-hmm.
I hope Harlan is hearing us.
Alan, you're there? Can you pull it up?
Good afternoon. Welcome to Eden. We hope you enjoy your tour.
The students at Wesley Upper School now have a well-equipped reading room where they will be able to get lost in the pages of fantasy novels or sharpen their knowledge of Belizean history. The school previously had a room that was a designated reading area. However, despite the sign, it was used for storage, and the rotting ceiling was riddled with mold.
We wanted to create a safe environment. We wanted to create a cool environment. We added air conditioning, a place where they can feel secure in reading. We wanted to make sure the roof was intact because everything inside the room, starts with the rain coming in, and we want to keep it safe. So we added the computers, and of course, we wanted to give them new books.
We have students who come to us at 9 or older and they don't know how to read. When Opal and her team came to us and they presented that they wanted an enhancement area, we sat down and I said, you know what, this is a dream intertwined. We need an enhancement area, but we also need a safe space where we can teach students how to read. So yes, we welcome the books, the computers and everything, but we also ask them to please support us with materials to teach reading.
Reading has too many benefits to mention all here, but I'll leave you with my favorite. The dinosaurs didn't read, and now they are extinct. You want to be extinct? Go read a book today.
When the sharpest words wanna cut me down, I'm gonna send a bird, gonna drown a man. This is brave, this is bruised, this is who I'm meant to be, this is me.
With the Links Incorporated,
Okay.
which is another boots on the ground women's organization that's nationwide, and they actually do amazing work throughout the globe as well. They recently built a school in Jamaica. So what's important to us in this project, myself as the president of the Foundation of American Belizean, the Links Incorporated, the girls from the Academy, part of this project is, unlike a lot of people who do projects in different countries, this is not just a drop and run for us. We have a sustainability program where every 6 months and the beginning of every school year, we check in with our principals. We ask them what books the children want to read.
We ask them if their computers are working, if the AC is functional. Like right now, we got an order from Wesley, their floor needs to be redone. So we don't just we check with them to make sure that their numbers are improving, because statistically we want nomenclature, we want tangible evidence that the work that we're doing is making a difference.
Right.
So we just don't just set the program up, and I think that's why it takes so much time to do it, because we want to make sure we have a faculty that's dedicated to run that facility as well. So the school has to assign a dedicated teacher to run the reading room.
And how
And they
many,
have that over at Wesley, and they've already hired somebody over at Eden to be that person, because we do check in with them regularly. And going back to what you said, Bilal, our World Literacy Day event, that was the first annual. We're going to be doing that every year, where we have the children from here in the United States and the children in Belize and wherever else we're going to take the program read together and share information about their favorite books and their hobbies, and have that cultural exchange that the children just really valued.
I wish I had that when I was in primary school.
I think
In Belize.
it's an amazing project. How many kids at Wesley and how many kids at Eden would you say are being impacted by this program?
For Wesley, and shout out to the principal of Wesley, Nicole Middleton. She is outstanding. The entire school. So I think that school has about 400 students. What Nicole does is she rotates her classes through the reading room.
Okay.
So they have like, I guess 45 minutes to an hour, like a class period that they actually go into the room, and they have a book club after school, and the students are allowed to do their projects on the computers in the facility as well. So she holds her staff meetings in there because it's the coolest room in the school.
Yeah.
And it's the one with the AC, so
Yes.
that's where she has her staff meetings, and it's really become a sanctuary for the children in the school. I went there to visit last year. It was a Friday afternoon, about maybe 4 o'clock, and there were students in the room reading and using the
Wow.
computers. And she said, Opal, this is Mesopotamia. These kids could be on the street,
Yes, yes,
but they
without a
choose
doubt.
to be here educating themselves. That's the impact of what it is that we've built. And in terms of Eden, we're in the demolition stage in Eden right now. So while we're sending them supplies and equipment to teach in their regular classes, their facility is about to be rebuilt and revamped the way we did over at Wesley. So we are 100% looking for donors. Go to fabzn.org. That's Foundation of American Belizeans.org, and click donate now to donate to the project. And let me tell you something, when it comes to donating to Belize, because I know that is also stigmatized, those kids get everything we send to them. Because
That's
if
very
I'm
important.
not personally on the ground to receive it and distribute it myself, we have the incomparable Miss Karen Vernon. You can't mess with KV. Shout out to KV. She's our logistics coordinator. She ensures that everything is delivered to where it's supposed to go.
Awesome.
So
It seems to me, though, and these projects are wonderful, but it seems that Belizeans abroad are doing a lot, especially in the education field. Recently, we had Restore Belize that was on our show, and every so often we meet other groups that are doing very powerful programs. Do you guys partner with other people when you're doing these types of programs that are on the ground? You know what I mean? And I know what you mean when you say people sometimes are worried about donations, right? Um, but my mom used to always say, you shouldn't worry about what somebody does with your donation as long as when you donated it with the right heart. It's up to them to make sure that they do the right stuff with it. So if I donate to a thing, I have no problem donating. But I'm just asking on your perspective, how difficult is it to get these things on the ground or to even organize it? I know you're very organized, obviously. You guys are building an embassy. But outside of that, how do you find getting things on the ground or getting things moving? Because you're using
We actually
friends,
have
right?
a
Friends and family, and I'm assuming that's your network.
You know what? No, honestly, it's getting things on the ground for us. We use shout out to Belize Queen Freight,
Okay.
who have partnered with us for a while, in allowing us to ship our items at a deep discount.
Okay.
But what's great about having the links incorporated on board now is not only are they gathering materials and, collaborating with us on events and fundraisers, but they're also paying for the shipping as well for the items that they send. And once the items reach the ground, as I mentioned, I have a one-stop logistics coordinator. So we're able to log everything that's sent. And what we would love is, support from customs in
Right.
terms of the tariffs. I know that there are programs where if you send something for purpose of education, those tariffs and custom fees can be waived.
Right.
So,
I
those
think
are
you
things
have
we
to.
want to put in place, but has it been a challenge for us immensely? I will say no. The
Okay.
last time we did our event, we all flew down and just each brought an extra box or giant suitcase of items, and we were able to clear that
Right.
with Wesley. So I have not faced any immense challenges, but this project at Eden is a little bigger than the last one. So I would love for that to go as smoothly as possible. So if anybody's listening who could assist, we would definitely appreciate that. I know the Diaspora Ministry said they had a program.
Yeah, I think they have some, it's called they have an education group here where the ambassador runs. And I
Right.
thought that was one of the things that they were supposed to do, help with kind of logistics with getting things through customs and stuff like that. And I think this, like, I was talking to you off camera, regarding coming up with a diaspora policy because we've seen it, right, Bilal? We've seen
Yeah.
so many efforts, and most of the time the issue that I feel like people face is customs. Hey, they're trying, most of the people are doing this through their own goodwill or doing it with they're not collecting a salary, they're not making profit. And so a lot of stuff that they do is they want to, they're committed, but then when they get, there's certain difficulties with getting things, the shipping, and shout out to your shipping company. I know the one in Florida also helped the organization a lot with discounts. But
Mhm.
wow, wouldn't it be great if the government would, and this is just me throwing out ideas, wouldn't it be great if the government had a shipping like once a month? If you want to
Hmm.
donate anything, you take it through this type of shipping type stuff so that you're doing.
Or more than that, make um philanthropic work and work like what Opal on her organization is doing duty free. Just like I think when a Belizean is moving home, they make all the household items duty free. I think
Duty
Hmm.
free,
a
but they have to
policy
pay
should
the
be
shipping too, right?
waive these things,
Hmm.
because
Uh,
then that is contributing to the development of the country. I cannot understand why up to now we
Hmm.
are getting some crazy stuff hearing from customs how they're stealing things out of people's stuff and uh
Hmm.
the shipping company say no, we the custom officer they take their thing out of the people box. I mean it's like crazy, why up to now you're having
Right.
additional things that are happening with Belizeans abroad shipping things, and especially those Belizeans abroad, like your organization, Opal, that these things supposed to be duty free. These things are coming in to contribute to educational development,
Hmm.
and that by itself is developing the country. So I think that the Ministry of Tourism and Diaspora Relations, being that diaspora relations is attached to tourism, should move forward and have Belizeans like yourselves who are making significant contribution to the development of Belize through these programs. You're at work, you're doing this thing. You can hear a lot of people talking, but then there's nothing going on. You're doing this, and for you to be having to pay for items coming in that is contributing to the educational sector, I don't think that should be the case at all. I think that things like that should be waived. And I'm saying, speaking directly to the Ministry of Tourism and Diaspora Relations,
No,
that
it's true.
the
It sounds a
purpose
little
of this show
counterintuitive,
is
doesn't it?
to
But
showcase
Yeah.
people
I would
like
hope
you
they go
that are
beyond
doing
duty
these things.
free.
But
I
Yeah.
think that they can afford
yeah,
a whole container, and if you can get your space in there, and it's education or donation related for the government and the people of Belize, they should offer the shipping part also. I think it would be minimal to do it compared to getting a loan, or, for example, if they had to do what Opal is doing, buy the computer, take care of this group of kids that many times are ignored. Um,
Mm-hmm.
I have a friend
okay.
who does deaf translation. She's
Mm-hmm.
American. What she's found, like for example, Stella Maris, she's like in Belize, what she's found is if they don't know to deal with a kid, in other words, if they have some special abilities or some type of disability, they're just putting all these kids together. And some of these kids don't belong there. Some of these kids, it's just that they might be deaf, but being deaf doesn't mean that you can't understand, you can't be an engineer, you can't be a scientist. And
Mm-hmm.
I think in a way this is important. I think what Opal is talking about, because I have a first cousin who is autistic, and my aunt moved to the US for a little while, and she was so happy because she said that was the first time in his life that he got the opportunity to go to school, learn a skill. They meet friends, they do activities together.
Right.
You know, in Belize, sometimes they keep them at home. They don't want them in school because they
Mm-hmm.
see those kids as disruptive, or they don't recognize that these kids need attention or some special education. The sensory part of it, which Tampa, before I left, they just built a sensory park for kids with sensory issues.
Mm-hmm.
Listen, that place, I mean, I take my kids there, but they love it because it's touch and feel, and they learn and stuff, and even regular kids. And I hate the word regular and normal because I really think
Mm-hmm.
that don't really exist, but even kids
Mm-hmm.
that we consider regular and normal, they don't learn the same. Boys have a tendency to learn more with their hands and engaging, and women
Mm-hmm.
tend to communicate. So women learn better with communicating with each other, and that's on a social level, right?
Mm-hmm.
So all I'm saying is that she was telling me a story about this little girl. She was deaf. Her family didn't know how to communicate with her. They never taught her sign language, and the little girl was frustrated. They had the little girl tied up so she couldn't go anywhere, and they kept beating her because she's frustrated. No, my friend, she was like basically aghast. I don't know. She couldn't believe that that is how they were treating this little girl who kept running away. But the reason she's running away, my friend was telling me, is because she's deaf, but she has her full senses. She knows what's going on, and they're treating her like she is, you understand what I like, almost like an animal, like she doesn't know what's going on. So she
Yeah,
said
just
she had to
quite ignorant. Yeah.
counsel a
Mm-hmm.
family and tell them that they need to go learn to teach her sign language and learn how to communicate with their child. And it's not Belize only, because HBO actually has a whole documentary about how people used to dump their kids in these special schools because they were deaf and they couldn't
Mm-hmm.
communicate communicate with them. And a lot of them ended up getting abused because they didn't know how to communicate back to their parents. So communication, right? You mentioned it that your son, you have to be careful because his memory level is on a whole different level than us. He communicates differently than we communicate. And because we don't understand how he communicates, we kind of ostracize and put them into a category. And we're saying, well, this is the only way we know how to communicate because this is all we've studied. And so we don't understand, so we come up with names, but people communicate differently. I mean, people,
And I to add to that, I had 20 boys at Jordan High School, right? They walk into the classroom, they're ninth graders. I'm teaching them math. They're ninth graders, but they're reading at a full third grade level. You can give them a book and say, read problem number. No. But if you show them, they get it. And
yeah.
all of those boys there, I had 20 of them, and two of them are engineers today. You can't just write these kids off. I remember the first day I walked in the classroom, they were gambling in there.
Love it.
So yeah, I'm walking in like Cindy Poitier to serve love with my briefcase, like, yeah, I'm making a difference. They don't have no bags. They're straight from the projects,
Yeah.
Jordan Downs, okay? But you have to, there are ways in terms of people write people off, like, oh, if you'd walk up in there, like, no, they are special needs. You see what I'm saying? They're a severe disability. They can speak, they just can't read well. But if they are visual learners, and a lot of children on the spectrum are like that. I tell you, that's what I had. They can't put them among girls. There's 20 of them in one classroom intervention, but you just can't write them off. You have to. They are able to become productive citizens of society, and two did. I mean, I had to learn how to do it. I had to learn from gang intervention and all of that. They sell drugs at night. They got bullets up in them. You know,
No, it's true.
them.
I've broken it down to what I call the three C's:
Yeah,
commitment, compassion, and communication.
yeah,
Because we always say the word special needs. We're all special. We all have needs.
That's true.
And I mean, how many times do you find what we call a neurotypical individual who don't say anything to them before they get their first cup of coffee? Or, we've got people who are walking around the city who you can't talk to them before they smoke their weed.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
we just have to identify what that need is. And that's for everybody. If I don't sleep, don't bother me. I need my 8 hours, not just for aesthetic purposes, but because I'm impaired if I don't get it.
Yeah. I'm the coffee
So,
person.
exactly. So when it comes to a child who does not have the voice, we have to be the voice for the voiceless. But it takes your ability to overcome their disability. You're able, and we're the ones who have to pivot, not them. God made them that way. But God gave us the discernment to identify that this person needs more. So I don't think anything is wrong with children who are different, who are not neurotypical. I
Right.
think something's wrong with society.
I
We're the ones who have to acclimate. We're the ones who have to go that extra step to reach into their world and find out what they need because we have the access and the ability to communicate to someone else that that person has a need that's not being met. So the onus is on us. And oftentimes we put the responsibility on them. You have to learn how to read this. You have to learn how to do this. You have to shut your child up in church because somebody up there who thinks they're more important is trying to pray. No, they're not. God says, whatever you do to the least of my brother, you do unto me.
Right.
So we have to understand that we have different abilities and we have to leverage those abilities to make somebody else able
I like
in
how
any way we can.
I like how you said that because what we've seen in society of recent is that thanks to social media, you can see that there's a lot of people who what we consider normal, everybody doesn't have the same thinking patterns. They don't understand things the same way. They view the world through different lens. We've seen recently with the radicalization of young white men or boys who have been going on social media and they're becoming radicalized. The same things that they used to accuse the Muslim young men of, we see now happening to the young white men. So that tells you that even talking to somebody we consider normal, the way how they process information, it can become dangerous, right? That they are processing the same information as you and me, and I might find it funny, another person might take it seriously, but then you have the extreme where somebody wants to go and harm others. You know how you want to help others, other people see that differently. Somebody comes to you and I feel like information is great and dangerous at the same time, right?
100%.
And the thing is, we are not filtering it. So we are just, it's raw information out there. The algorithms that are out there is now becoming almost like a radicalization tool because, the more you tune into things on social media, the more of that information keeps flooding into your brain. That
Mm-hmm.
I mean,
again,
that's the same thing they say about the gangsters,
right.
Afro-American gangsters. Oh, they're radicalized, right? They're terrorists. They put them on the Homeland Security, put them on
Yeah.
the
But
terrorists.
when we talk about the spectrum,
I'm here, I walk in a classroom with 20 of them, right? Face to
Yeah.
face. A guy walks into this classroom and said, "Do you know who you're dealing with right here?" He said, "Come here. You need to come to my gang intervention workshops." I said, "What is that, bro?" He said, "I'm telling you, you need to come because that is who you're dealing with in here." But we were fine, because I learned how to read. I didn't write them off. I didn't say, "Man, I'm not going to mess with them no more." And we were fine. The first, gambling became a warm up. you know,
Mm-hmm.
when I broke it up and let them sit down, they were like, "Man, that ain't," they use the N word, man, and that ain't no math. you know.
Mm-hmm.
I
But
think,
later on, one of them
Bilal,
raised their hand and said, "No, yeah, I know that's probability." I said, "There you go, man." So that's gonna be a warm up, right? And you got to find ways of how to, they beat on the desk like, "Hey, there's some computers right there. Okay, GarageBand is on that. Okay, I'm gonna teach you all how to make beats, right?" And
that's
you find ways, man. You can't write them off. And that's the same thing with any child that is on the spectrum.
but I think we're
Absolutely.
all on the
You have to
spectrum.
find ways of how
I
to.
agree. I
I
agree
think
with you,
everybody's
Aria.
on
I
the
think I
spectrum.
think
I
we're
don't
all on the
think there's no
spectrum.
perfect person. And I think
Mm-hmm.
what it is that and I think I read that somewhere where the same issues that I raised before, everybody falls within a spectrum. You will
Mm-hmm.
not find two adults thinking and being the same person. So you might be within what a range of what they consider you're within this range, but some people are just outside that range. Some people are
Mm-hmm.
geniuses and not within the range either.
Well, I
And
tell
there's
you,
a
that crowd there
spectrum,
was geniuses because they taught me street math.
right?
Yeah. But it
You
goes
know,
back to
I've
exactly
never
what I was
learned to
saying,
add and
Bilal.
subtract a certain
Congratulations
kind
to
of way, and they
you.
showed me applied math. You understand?
Exactly.
We write them off, and they are some of the most brilliant people because they can't read, right? So you will write them
Right.
off. Right? And there are other ways in which you can teach them. They will learn differently. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
But we write them off. Yeah, no, the crowd there. Belize is very, very bad at writing off its students, right?
Yeah.
A student is not academically inclined. They don't even know if the child is on some kind of autistic spectrum or have some kind of disability, right? Maybe mild or severe. Oh yeah, put in, he don't say, put on over there. I hear teachers say, "I didn't leave one there on good fit, clean the street to be drained, man." But
Yeah, and
that's
the thing is,
harsh,
even the drain man is valuable though. Even the drain
Exactly.
man is necessary. That we need that
Amen.
drain clean, otherwise in
Yes.
hurricane time we're
Yeah.
in trouble.
You see what I'm
So
saying? Yeah.
again, we have to destigmatize.
Yeah,
We have
yeah.
to destigmatize and leverage
skill sets and
Yes.
celebrate people for the strengths that they have and not just denigrate them because of their weaknesses.
And that's why I celebrate
I
vocational
think that's
training,
what's important. You had the commitment, the communication, and the compassion to teach that gang intervention class, because a lot of times it's not even a cognitive impairment. It's something that's going on at home that's
Yes.
causing a
Go
cycle
look
that's
at the IEP. Go
exacerbating
look at the
an
IEP of
issue
them.
that lay dormant. So we don't know what the reason is that this child is not performing optimally. But
You
it
imagine
takes
you
somebody who
have an
cares enough to
IEP.
reach in and find out and see if they can help.
Yeah.
You have an
So I
IEP where
commend you
your
for
mom is
teaching
on
your
crack,
gangbangers. They
and
needed
you,
you,
yeah,
and you're there for them. So that's great.
yeah. And you're so right, Oprah, because the background, when you look at the IEP, we are like, mom is on crack, dad is in jail.
There you go. And you can't blame that child. But
They're supposed,
we quick for say this one what list pick me.
Yes.
right?
And I watch Belize news all the
And
time.
Belize have
All the
that.
time. And I see these mothers of these gangbangers saying nothing wrong with my son and this and that and da 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 da. And I'm like,
No
sweetheart, when my
intervention.
son was first
Yeah.
diagnosed with autism, I will never forget that day. He was 2 years old, and I went to the psychologist at UCLA, she foo foo, and she says to me, "Your child is autistic," and I said, "My child can't be autistic. He's Belizean."
Oh my.
That was my profound ignorance,
Right? You
Yeah.
right?
denied. You were
But
living
I
in the denial.
complete
Yeah.
denial. I did not accept it, and it took my music teacher sitting me down and saying to me, Opal, you need to educate yourself because this is real. Statistics are showing that 1 in 31 children will be diagnosed with autism before the end of this year. 1 in 31. It used to be 1 in 10,000.
Wow.
So you wonder if it's something in the water. I'm not gonna push the Tylenol agenda that our the orange man is trying to push. I'm not gonna say that because he's trying to guilt these parents into thinking
Right.
that it's their fault.
Right.
And I can't wait for that class action lawsuit long as they give me my money. Oh, but
$30. I
but
got $38 recently from Meta.
right?
That's how I know.
But seriously, the statistics are 1 in 31 children are now being diagnosed
That's
with autism.
crazy. That's
So
crazy.
clearly this is real. It's not something we can run from anymore. And we're very excited to be putting that sensory area in Belize. I don't know that it's going to be the first
And
of its
Belize
kind,
included. When you call that
but
statistics,
it's
ARIA,
necessary.
Opal, you have to remember that Belize is included in that statistic, you hear?
Yeah.
And I even think
Yeah.
Belize is doing I don't think Belize is doing diagnosis, right? As most of these kids are undiagnosed. I mean, outside of autism, you have a lot of kids suffering from post-traumatic stress disorder, especially on the south side. So we're not diagnosing our children. And it's important, and I love the fact that Opal came here and raised I mean, outside of what she's doing, she's raising a very important issue because we cannot sit back anymore and just watch our children die indiscriminately. You know, a 2-year-old got shot last week.
Mhm.
The
Yeah,
news
sorry.
barely covered it. You know, we're covering gangsters and love triangles and a lot of stuff, but a 2-year-old got shot last week. And that was an important thing. That's an innocent child who
And
does
to
not
speak to that,
control their
yeah.
families and stuff. And they're exposed. These kids are exposed. They're seeing stuff. I understand even in certain areas where the gang issue is so bad, some of the kids are passing dead bodies, peeping and
Mhm.
seeing these things
Oh,
happen.
they see so many acts of violence every day.
Yeah,
It
Mhm.
and
has
we're not,
become,
that's
yeah.
the conversation instead of prolonging a love triangle. That's a conversation that we need to be having. That
Right.
each one of
Opal,
these people have children.
in that literacy program, as Aria raised that point, I want to ask you, while you were doing that cross-culture pollination there with the literacy program, did you identify any of the students in Belize in Wesley Upper School that was impacted in some kind of way by the violent cultures that they come from on the south side?
You know, I'm glad you brought that up because honestly, one of the most important part of this platform is we promote ourselves as creating safe spaces.
Right.
So when you walk through this door, it's a sanctuary and you can claim sanctuary. Whatever it is that's outside here that's impacting you negatively, it's not so much that we don't want to know and we don't want to hear about it, but we want you to not think about it.
Right.
So that is a safe area for children to just come in and lose
Very
themselves.
important.
In books, it was something that Shine said when he was our keynote speaker. He was able to explore the world through books because that was the access that he had. So when I went to Wesley another time to visit, there were these little boys who were on the computer looking through Google Maps.
That's cool.
And I was like, "Where are you now?" He was like, "I'm in New York City." Now, I don't know that that child's family is ever going to have the resources and the means to take that boy to New York City. But because of something that we made available to him, he was able to virtually be in New York City. So to answer your question directly, I've gone all around the mulberry bush, but we know that these kids are impacted by what goes on outside of that space.
And you're creating
We
that safe
want
space
them
for them.
to suspend that
Yeah.
reality and use their imagination to explore something that makes them happy. And I think
Excellent
that's a
therapy.
goal that we're
Oh,
accomplishing,
that's an excellent
and we're more
therapy.
than happy to continue doing it.
And
Awesome.
what other okay, so the next thing you're working on is a sensory type environment for the school in San Ignacio, right? It's
Mm-hmm.
Eden School. Um, so what's next, Opal? Like what is, because you're a busybody, right? You are a busybody. So tell us like what's next for you? What other projects are you working on?
Goodness. Other than the skincare line, which we have some new products that are coming out. So right now I'll give you the drop, the secret. I'm working on a women's intimate care
Okay.
line.
Okay.
For the skincare line, just
So you
because
want to build one new generation of kids.
yeah, hey, we gotta populate the earth, right? So we're working on that just because I'm big on the self-care platform.
Yes.
And I think a lot of women need to know the importance of caring for themselves properly.
Especially some of
You
our
know?
young women in Belize. I think it's very important
Yeah.
for them to start having self-esteem, body conscious type stuff because outside of violence, a lot of our young girls are suffering from harassment at a young age,
Mm-hmm.
especially depending on how quickly they develop. And then they don't have the mother or the 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 influence to teach them how to do things the right way. So that's awesome.
And she's a
Yeah,
big,
it's
she's a,
important. I mean, let's be honest, the vinegar and lime not a true.
Right. I watched
So
that video. Oh my God. I saw that video and I'm like, what the heck is happening here? Yeah, yeah. And the stereotypes
yeah,
keep pushing.
developing.
They push all these ideas. That's not true, you're right. And maybe some of them need to go see a doctor, right?
exactly, exactly.
And
So,
to,
we want something that's all natural, chemical free, just like
Right.
the rest of the line, to
Yeah.
be able to provide, women of all ages,
Yeah.
just that extra layer of confidence.
Yeah.
So that's one
and it's
thing
just,
that
it's just
I'm quietly in my lab working on right
Okay.
now.
uh,
And, outside of that, we really want to take this literacy project all over the country of Belize.
Okay.
So just like Eden reached out to us saying that this is what they wanted for their school, if there is, I think somebody from Biscayne, Elise Vernon, mentioned that she would be interested in something like that. The projects take time and they take a lot of money. And
Right.
I see, oh, Lado, I get next again. But when I see the things that the ministries are funding. It's not like they don't have money. It's not like they don't issue funds for different projects.
Right.
Because I have hesitations. I have members of my diaspora community who say, I don't want to donate anything. Belizeans have money. They have money for what they want to have money for. The governments give money to the
For
projects
what
and
they
the
want to
interests that
have
they
money
want to have
for.
money for. But when it comes to enhancing literacy and creating, long-term changes in the lives of these children. I mean, these kids at these rural and lesser affluent schools are your next lawyers, they are your next doctors, they are your next politicians. We just have to let them know that the resources are available for them to continue to achieve those dreams. So, the destigmatization of inaccessibility and the inability to live your dreams because you don't have the things that you need, so you automatically feel like you're failing. I really want to continue to try to take that away and not just do it in two schools, not just do it in two districts. We want to go to as many areas in the nation where we feel that they're not receiving the same privileges that the school down the street
Opal,
is getting.
for your diaspora friends that say Belizeans have money for what they want, I just
Mm-hmm.
want to challenge them and say, listen, I get that, but it still takes a village to raise a child, right? And what
Absolutely.
you're doing is, you can't, people always say it's the parents' responsibility. I get that also, but there's a lot of kids who have irresponsible parents. That is not ever the kid's fault. That is not the kid's fault. A kid is not here because they asked to be here. A kid does not control an adult. And so
Mm-hmm.
you can't say, well, I want them, because when you as a village decide not to help raise a child, and I get it right from Black Panther, right? The saying that
Mm-hmm.
if you ignore that child, they'll come back down and burn down the village.
Come on.
That's what's going to happen. And we're seeing it happening in Belize right now. We're seeing a sector of young men who otherwise probably would be very productive, because
Right.
some of them are very, like I always tell people, some of them are very entrepreneurial. They run a whole drug business, they run a whole gang, they do all this stuff, but they're not trained to do anything else, right?
Right.
And so when you see one generation, I know that generation is negatively impacting your community. To me, those are the people, and I'm a believer in God. I know people like ask me that question. I'm just not big on religion, because I feel like religion distract people from Jesus' work, right? So
Mm-hmm.
what happened? People drive past in communities, forgot our church. When Jesus supposed to live within you,
Come on.
where you can't save everybody, but the kid will live next door to you, or the kid you're passing every day, you could create an impact on just that one kid or two. And I
Mm-hmm.
know a lot of families do. So I'm not criticizing anybody for anything, because we do have a lot of Belizeans that care. We do have
Mm-hmm.
a lot of Belizeans that try to intervene, even at home. Um, but we need to start, we as Belizeans, I don't vote, but we as Belizeans, we need to start electing leaders who care about Belizeans. Because
Mm-hmm.
what I've seen over and over, and I always say this, right? For open or Airbnb that Belize, I always use this example. You have to follow all kind of strict rules and stuff. Why?
Mm-hmm.
Even the states, you don't have to do all of that. If you have only space and you are put it on Airbnb, Airbnb don't care. They allow you for doing. But the
Right.
government, I believe, have decided to insert themselves into Airbnb. Why? Because they're catering to foreigners. But when
Mm-hmm.
it comes to the average Belizean, we have to deal with one landlord. One landlord could treat the average Belizean like anything. They could not
Mm-hmm.
have no roof, they could have nothing, and there's zero enforcement of quality of living for our
Right.
Belizeans. And that's, to me, it starts with our kids too, right?
Mm-hmm.
we cannot be in a society watching our children fall apart. We can't. We can't glorify nonsense of beliefs. And that goes to the media too. The media spends an incredible amount of time on tabloid level journalism. It's ridiculous. Then the serious issue is on the back end that's really not being discussed because we're focused on the sensationalism. I write a lot, and the reason I write a lot is just to inspire talk. Like I always see things, and sometimes I crack a joke about it because some people can get all emotional about those jokes. But I always tell people it's a way for reflect of how to me comedy is the best way to reflect on how ridiculous we're at. We're so ridiculous. We are so focused on nonsense 24/7 that you have the Opals of the world, you have the Restore Belize of the world. I could call one list of people that are within their own area. They're donating to medical, they're donating to, different aspects of Belize. They're trying to make a difference. You have Belizeans at home that are trying to create ways that Belizeans who are sick they're trying to figure ways for them to do things, right? But it not change until we start electing our leaders to reflect that.
100%.
And I raise this again, second week I raise it, I apologize. But if your leader accept a $200,000 vehicle and willing for go paint that blue for drive wrong Belize, right? Instead of telling that donor, listen, I don't need that vehicle because I have a vehicle. But I do know that the kids in my neighborhood don't have a library, they don't have a safe space. Why not take that $200,000 and go build that instead?
Exactly.
But we are still profiling. We're acting like we're not a real country. We want to look good. We want to dress good. We want to wear fancy shoes. We want to do everything else but build one society of productive citizens. And our kids, I have a problem. This is me personally. I have a deep problem to see young black men being killed off with no sympathy for their lives.
Right.
No sympathy. It's a news item. It's sensationalized. You see the comedy that's, oh, haha, and this, and it's almost treated like you're dealing with an animal. No value to the life. The news story is over. We move on to the next tragedy that we look like we'll always try upend the other tragedy that happened before.
Or waiting for the next tragedy.
Or waiting for the
and
next,
that's
or
why
celebrating the next tragedy, or exploiting. Like I think I blogged about this recently about I wish the news stations in Belize will stop sticking microphones in the faces of crying mothers.
Yes.
When they're picking just
How
dead.
you feel? How you feel?
How you feel? Are you serious?
Yeah, how you feel?
Can you respect this woman? Can you not traumatize her any
Right.
further? It's irresponsible.
Yeah.
Or stop filming girls fighting.
Yep.
And putting it on the news. I always wonder, was the person holding the iPhone filming the fight strong enough to stop it?
Yeah.
You know, can we please stop robbing the children of their innocence?
Yes.
And exploiting the devastation of our people and making this completely socially acceptable to a point we're supposed to be desensitized to it.
Right. Yeah.
You're traumatizing society even more. And you're exactly right, Aria. It's a trash level, just very shallow way of journalistic documentation.
Yep.
I think it's irresponsible.
There's no
We've got to do better.
We witness a week of murder after murder after murder, including a child, or a child got shot. There's no therapist that they interview and say, hey, how is society being impacted about this? Hey, how about go interview some change agent that is an expert and say, how do we change the narrative? How do we? No, it's literally just jokes and
And
sensationalism.
they are not also covering the positive stories in the society.
Right.
Just to
Not
sell
enough.
newspapers
Definitely not
and
enough.
get ratings. You know how many positive stories. As I'm a
Like
writer, I
this,
always
like
put it
this
up
is a
there. I always
positive
try to
story.
put a glass in front of these dirty glass that the Belizean media is always putting there. I pull stuff
Exactly.
in and I put something that is positive because we are just so concentrating and on this all this negative stuff. And in Belizean society, there's a lot of positive stories to cover. A journalist
Right.
myself, I know. I
I
used to
wish they would lead with positive. Lead with
I used to
positive.
write for Mandela and I used to find so much positive. When you got all of this happening over here, okay, it's the crime. Over there is like five more better positive stories that you can cover that people would like to read about. You
Yeah.
Yeah.
just bombard the Belizean people with all this crime and negative stuff. And when you really check it out, it only represents at least about 2% of what is really going on in the country.
It does. And
Yeah. No, you're
98%
absolutely
of what is
right.
going on in the country is positive things, but the media ain't there. The
yeah,
Hmm.
media is not there in Belize covering those things. But on a softer note, Opal, you're gonna have to try. You have to tell me about why is it that we can't have another beauty queen besides Sarita Acosta come near the top five of Miss Universe, right? Because I hear you,
Why?
you
Let
are
me tell
big
you,
time into this
I had
pageant,
a chance to work
Superman.
with I've had a chance to work
You
with
are a
Bella,
queen
with
yourself. You
our
won
current
so many
queen.
of them. But I think
Yeah,
Holland's
I've
enough
had a chance to work with
for us to go
Bella,
to break, right?
Zabani,
Right?
and
All
I
right.
think, and we say this every year, right? This is gonna be the one. We say it every year. But
What are you going on
I
with that,
have
man?
had a chance to work with Bella, and I will say that that young lady is absolutely outstanding in every respect. She really is. There is a humility and a sincerity and a level of communication skill that is notable. I don't know if you heard that speech that she gave at
Yes, I
her
did.
grand uncle's ceremony, but the young lady, she's talented, she's passionate about Belize. She wants to become that politician who genuinely does the impact
Oh, we
work
had a
and
lot
make a
of that
difference.
though.
Opal, I
So
We
I
had
want to
in
would
the
ask you a
love
last
to
very
see
tough
five
that.
Miss
So
question.
kudos
Universe.
to the organization
Right,
and big up
beautiful
to Bella.
Belizean
I
woman,
want
but
to
they
see her
still
go
can't come
far.
in the top five of Miss Universe. Why?
No, but I think, and I don't know if this is true, Opal, but please tell me if it's true. I
Hmm.
just feel like Miss Universe, after they switch owners, right? And it went to Trump and now it went to some other organization. It really became about followers. Like I feel like
Hmm.
it's based on if you win, you come from a country of 10 million people, the rate of people who purchase within that demographics is very high. And so it's the US keeps winning because the US have the economy. And now you these big countries, and I feel like no, you won't see another small country win because Nigeria have money now. They're one of the richer
You begin to
African
sound like
states.
a critic when I asked that question. I just asked Oprah. I mean, as Opal,
Opal,
my bad. You have the same kind of pronunciation like Oprah, the
Give
legendary
me your
African
money. If I had her
American.
money, I wouldn't mind you calling me by her name.
no kidding.
But I asked a friend of mine that, and he was a person of intellect. And he said, Sarita Kusum is just lucky.
I don't think she was. I think
I
back
beg to
then it
differ.
was a. I
I'm
think
telling
back
me
then
no,
it was
man.
a
I'm telling you no, man.
purer contest. I think corporations have taken over one lot of pure type of events. And so now it's all about money. It's all about your following. You notice they tell you go like this page and go do this, and it's all about following. It's like Shark
Mm.
Tank. You ever watch Shark Tank?
I
Mhm.
love that show.
Okay, so you notice, and I always tell people, you know what, that the formula for make Shark Tank sponsor you? You
Hmm.
have to go in there with a customer base already intact because they're
Hmm.
trying to reach your, if you go in there, unless your idea is so unique that
Hmm.
they know they are make money.
I know that area, but explain
Listen,
to me.
Let me
Sarita
give you
Acosta
guys the
top five
pageant tea, right?
paradigm.
Let
You
me
give
give
me
you the
Rakimi, give it,
million
give
give
me
it
dollar
that.
up,
pageant
Bilal.
secret,
Keep giving up.
right?
Okay, go ahead.
Let me drop it. Let me drop the secret, and I'm
I want
gonna
to hear it from
ruin this
Opal.
for a lot of pageant lumber lovers. So there's my disclaimer. I'm sorry. I'm gonna take the joy away from you. But here's the secret about pageants. I always tell my girls when I'm training them or when I'm working with them, you very well might be the best contestant on that stage. But one, you're competing against the best of the best. Every country sent who they thought was the best representative for their country that year. That's why they call it the Olympics of Beauty.
Right.
But your being the best has nothing to do with winning. Winning any type of large scale competition is very corporate, it's very political, and it's really all about what they feel would be the best person with the most marketability. This part is important to push the agenda of the organization at that time.
Amen.
It has nothing to do with how outstanding or how amazing you are. They have an idea of what they want, and this can change year to year. Last year, they wanted somebody who could be the face of their skincare line. So the current winner, God bless her, I don't know if she can add 2 + 2. She's not the sharpest tool in the shed. But she's drop dead gorgeous.
Skin.
Her skin is flawless. Her hair is perfect. Her eyes are beautiful. She's a Barbie doll.
Yeah.
That is what they wanted to represent them for that year. So for this year, we have no idea what the agenda of the corporate and the investors and the funders and financiers of this pageant is. We don't know what they're plugging or what they're pushing.
I think it's going to be
all we can do is prepare our horse as best we can.
It's going to be Hispanic. It's going to be ICE related. It's going to be immigrant story related. I'm telling you, that's what it's going to be.
And it might not. It could just be somebody who represents that. But remember this, Miss Universe is no longer owned by the United States.
And that's why I'm saying
Miss Universe is not owned by the US anymore. So the US agenda might not be the biggest. The US, the Miss Universe is owned by an organization out of Thailand.
England, listen, England had a protest. Germany just changed their citizenship process. It's going to be an immigrant related. Anyway, that's my opinion.
That's your thoughts.
Yes,
we will see. But I don't. So I couldn't tell you, Bilal, because I don't know what their agenda is.
It's going to be a Palestinian.
Okay, I got you.
It's going to be a Palestinian-based person.
Very much.
It's going to be the world agenda.
I didn't know it was so in depth because I thought, well, okay, this thing is on the base. And when I saw my own Belizean, and I always bigger up Sarita Acosta, that is like, why is it that you came in that top 5 and then the rest of them, and even pretty and you and him?
Sign of the times. Sign of the times. That's what it was. Sarita was the best of she was among the best of the best for what they were looking for in that time period. Yep. You know, Miss Universe evolves with the times. So like you said, Aria, social media is a big deal right now. But one of the rumors I'm going to trump is, you know, all this vote for me and I get this many likes and the Filipino pageant bloggers say that you're the best. That has no influence over who wins.
I agree.
So I mean, it gives you attention and it helps you get sponsors.
Yeah.
It helps you get noticed. But it does not help you win. That's a lie.
I agree.
That's just propaganda. And the effectiveness that it has and the impact that it has on who takes the crown is not as impactful as they want you to think. Those bloggers who own like Missosology are Filipino boys with nothing to do.
But Bilal, I want to put this out here because Opal is big in this, right?
Yeah, that's why I asked
Rihanna is a billionaire.
That is one of the topics.
Yeah.
But Bilal, Rihanna is a billionaire, not because of the music she sings. She's a billionaire because she got into the beauty industry. Likewise, Kim Kardashian. Likewise, what's his sister name? Jenner, can't remember her name. She's also a billionaire. So to understand the beauty industry, it is a multi-billion-dollar industry, and you
Is
have
it
to pay.
racial too?
I
Is
don't
it
think
racially
it's
You
driven?
know what? No, I'm going to say it's not racially
Whiteness
charged because one of
as
the
the
biggest
best?
black brands, Shea Moisture,
yeah.
bought out by a white company.
See,
You know,
that's
Like
crazy.
so
but we gotta
no,
wrap
it's
up,
not
guys. We
racially
gotta wrap
motivated.
up. We gotta wrap
Beauty
up.
is beauty.
Yeah.
Beauty is beauty.
Yep.
And people want to hone it, they want to leverage it, and men are visual. So as long as men remain visual, women are going to spend billions of dollars on trying to look
I
good.
love that.
Or take the guy's money so he can spend
Or so
millions
he
of
can make
dollars so he
sure
can
she
look
looks
good.
good. So it's I agree with you, Aria. The
Yeah.
beauty industry is definitely one of the highest profit generators.
It is.
And when we
It
think
is.
about a pageant like Miss Universe, this is supposed to represent the paramount
And
of
that's a
what beauty
lesson, and I'm
is.
happy you do that because that's a lesson that Belizeans
It's
need
a
to
powerful
understand
global thing, though. It's so
going
powerfully
in.
globally. I mean,
Yeah.
Yeah.
it touches the mind of so many young women. Miss Universe drives this whole beauty thing.
But
And
it's funny, it's
you all are
business.
explaining to me that there are more than just the beauty that has the political and all of that plays out. That's amazing to see how judges are using those things to pick their their
Yeah,
next
it's
experience.
But
about
we
social
gotta wrap up. I'm
relevance.
sure that Harlan is going nuts because we're 5 minutes over the
We have
time.
5 minutes over time. I
Ah,
thought you wanted
sorry.
us to go to break. I said, man,
Yeah,
this conversation was so good. We are going to break. I was just
yeah.
Yeah, well, such a good conversation. Thank you guys. We have a couple of fundraisers that we're working on putting out for the diaspora community. I want to say shout out to our partners, to the Links Incorporated, who have really stepped up to assist us and be a relevant partner in this project. We're so grateful to have them. Shout out to LACC Preaching and Teaching Ministries and the Baptist Ministers Conference for helping us, to my partner, Rashad Rucker Trapp, who's the LA City Commissioner, to the girls from the Dorothy Irene High Global Leadership Academy, to Shine Barrow for giving us our first reading room in Mesopotamia, to Mayor Earl Trapp, and to everybody else who I did not mention. Oh, to Little Belize. If you ever come to Los Angeles, please go to Little Belize. They're one of our greatest supporters. It's a great
please.
project. We're excited about it. If you want to donate, go to fabzn.org and click donate now, or give us a call at 818-658-6509. That's 818-658-6509, or you could reach me on Facebook or WhatsApp, and we would be happy to hear from you if you want to donate a book, a computer, or we're looking for people to donate labor to do the construction. Benny's, if you want to give us some lumber and some paint, we'll take it. Ministry of Education, we need your support. Diaspora, tourism, everybody. It's for the kids. And because it's for the kids, it's for the country.
Amen. Thank you
So
so
thank
much
you,
for joining
Aria.
us,
Thank you,
Opal.
Bilal. Thank you, Muz.
Thank you for joining us tonight. Please donate to this cause. It's affecting and impacting kids who are Belize's future. Thank you, Creme Radio and XTV. Harlan, who is our engineer in the background. Nouri Mohammed, who is the producer of the show, and for giving the diaspora the platform. We have to really big up XTV. They were pioneers in this, and they've given me and Bilal this platform for a few years now. So thank you, Opal, and I hope to hear more from you. Bilal?
Definitely.
Yes,
We'll be
for
talking
sure.
offline about all the
Yeah.
groups that you told me
You
about.
gotta have part two of Oprah because there's still a lot of unanswered questions that is here.
You want to know about the beauty
She sent her
industry
topic
now?
list there, and we haven't finished. So we have to bring you back for part two. I want to thank you, Opal. Thank you for coming on and accepting the invitation. And we want to say to our viewers across the Belizean diaspora, all over the world, UK, the Caribbean, Africa, wherever a Belizean is residing. We want to say tell one to tell one about Navel String Connection. And again, we want to say thank you for watching. Good night.
Good night.
am a true born Belizean.
Tell them that we born it.
Belize my home, my native land.
Tell them that we born it.
I want you people to understand.
Tell them that we born it.
I am proud to be a Belizean.